After losing out on the commitment of Jake Nawrot to the University of Kentucky, there was a little bit of angst in the Kansas State fan base about who their 2027 high school quarterback recruit was going to be. There were a few flip candidates, but there was a lot of need for a 2027 high schooler after not getting a high school commit in the 2026 class after letting Miles Tedecki go. So there were a lot of names that ended up getting leaked, but the one that ended up committing to K-State first is from the state of Tennessee, and that is Cam Cruz. A lot of people will look at his recruiting profile and see that he doesn't have any stars on 3 and that his offer list isn't necessarily the most impressive thing in the world and sort of shrug or scoff at this pickup thinking, well, we could have had so much better. But when I actually dove into Cam Cruze's film, I think that K-State may have actually just found a hidden gem. So join me today as I'm Ace Edwards, and this is another edition of the Alleycat Film Room. Cam Cruz, originally from Olathe, Kansas, but moved to Tennessee, is a right-handed quarterback who held offers from Northwestern, West Virginia, Middle Tennessee State, Memphis, Troy, Arkansas State, and a lot of the Ivy League schools. And you look at that offer list and your first thought is, okay, he had 2 Power 4 offers, but none of those are exactly high-tier Power 4 offers. But I think it might just be a case of evaluation miss just because he moved in between years of playing high school football. And that, to me, comes into play whenever you look at his strengths. And the first and most obvious strength that he has is he has the most advanced and maybe the prettiest deep ball that I've seen from a high schooler that K-State has been recruiting in my time of evaluating the high school recruits that they've brought in. Take, for example, this rep, which is actually the first one in his highlight tape. He takes his drop back and then immediately fires one directly over the defense. Now, of course, it was a very pretty deep ball, but there's also a lot of mental that went into this throw as well. Look at how he's reading the safety, and look at how he reaches the top of his drop, sees the safety is breaking on this crosser, and then immediately throws it over him. This is a college NFL concept that he's reading out nearly perfectly and delivers a perfect pass on it, and this isn't something that is particularly uncommon throughout his entirety of the film. In fact, a big part of his game is just how well he reads the deep middle of the field. If he sees a safety is breaking down on a crossing route, he's going to be able to throw it over him, and he does it with consistency in all of his deep ball highlights. His ability to throw the deep ball is complemented by 2 things that pair extremely well together and will make him a really good college quarterback, to sort of show my hand here a little bit. He has an extremely quick release. He can get the ball out of his hands once he's made a decision insanely quickly, and he shows an advanced understanding of how to take advantage of certain matchups whenever they are presented to him. In other words, once he sees he has a favorable matchup or has a good place to throw the ball, he's going to get rid of it before most defenders even have the opportunity to react. And you can see this a lot throughout of his film whenever he throws a back shoulder fade to someone like number 6 in his film, who it would not surprise me if he got other Power 4 offers as a wide receiver. But he does that a lot. He identifies his matchup, and then he hits that matchup before any other help defenders can get to it. That's the sign of a good quarterback who knows how to take advantage of space, especially in the more college RPO-based system that is inherently designed to take advantage of space and one-on-one matchups. And that's something that Cam Cruz already knows how to do in a high school offense. It's also worth noting that he is a supremely confident quarterback. I don't think that he believes that there's a throw on the field that he can't make, and you can see that throughout his film. He makes a lot of throws over the middle, some in the relatively tight windows, and yet he's still able to make it work because he believes in his arm. He's also not afraid to attack outside as well. He's not an over the middle of the field merchant. He really is able to attack the outside of the field and attack all of it, which adds to his confidence and makes him a more dangerous quarterback, just because he believes in himself and he believes in his receivers to win whenever they are put on the field. And all of this combines with a quarterback who, quite frankly, is a little too mentally advanced for the high school competition that he is facing. He understands coverages, he understands space, and he understands how to manipulate it. And that combines with his confidence, his quick release, his understanding of matchups to make him a nightmare to go up against for these high schoolers who, quite frankly, not a lot of them are going to see college time, at least not at the Division I level. And I don't want to make it sound like, oh, he's just so much better than everyone else, because I think that that's a lazy analysis. He's more mentally ahead of everyone else and has the physical tools to back it up. So I've said all of this. Why isn't he a perfect 5-star recruit that has every single Power 4 university knocking down his door and trying to unload the Brinks truck? There are a few weaknesses to his game, and like most quarterbacks, and I am projecting him to be a mid-level to high 3-star, a lot of it comes down to physical ability. Yes, he does have a 4.56 speed, and yes, his arm strength could improve, but his arm strength as it stands right now isn't going to wow people. He doesn't have that uncork, throw a seed downfield that a lot of quarterbacks who are getting recruited in the 4 and 5-star range has. His arm strength, I would describe it as functional. It is a solid arm that is going to be able to make the throws that you ask in a college offense, but he's not going to be able to make those tight downfield throws that you see from the elite high school quarterbacks. And really, that is something that is going to limit some offenses. Will it limit Colin Klein's offense? I doubt it, considering how I think his offense and his arm strength, that being Colin Klein to Cam Cruse's arm strength, is at least comparable to different quarterbacks that Colin Klein has had in the past. And I do think that Avery's arm is a little better, and I think that everyone will be compared to Avery up until Avery graduates, and even afterwards. But the point is, Cam Cruse's arm isn't the greatest thing in the world, and this combines with his speed. Now, it says he runs a 4.56, and in a straight line, that sounds like it makes sense, but he doesn't have that twitch that we see from people like Blake Barnett or Avery Johnson. He is more of a straight line runner, and he doesn't have speed that is going to terrify defenses in the quarterback run game. So I am curious to see how he will do against more too high structures when teams aren't scared of him in the option game. And the last little bit to notice is, alongside all the other improvements he can make to his mechanics that just about every high schooler can make, though I will say his mechanics are extremely clean for a high schooler, with the only complaints that I have being his front shoulder coming open a little too often and his back plant leg sometimes just flying off in outer space, is his pocket awareness. A quarterback like Cam Cruz is someone who is going to thrive in the pocket, delivering time, on time, in the structure of the offense, and can occasionally make plays out of structure. He doesn't have the skill set to match his pocket presence. Sometimes he is bailing on clean pockets, and that's something that I would like to see him develop a little more. And honestly, his offensive line, that's another group that I wouldn't be surprised if they got at least some G6 or P4 offers, because his offensive line in his highlight tape is amazing. They're keeping him clean, and sometimes he's just bailing on the pocket before he needs to. And granted, it doesn't happen every single play, but it is something that pops up on his tape from time to time. Those are my only real complaints about Cam Cruz as a prospect. If I were evaluating him, I would honestly put him as a high 3 to a low 4 star, with the main reason being he has an insanely high floor. you know that Cam Cruz is going to be a good quarterback at the Power 4 level just because of his quick release, his ability to diagnose that he already has in high school, and how confident he is in his arm. The worst case scenario to me is that he ends up getting too confident and ends up trying to cash checks that his arm can't make. But that can A, be schemed around, and B, I think his arm strength, while people will talk about it as a negation point against him, I don't think it's bad enough to say that you can't scheme around it, especially with how decisive he is, how good he is at understanding matchups, and how quickly he gets rid of the ball. So Cam Cruz should not be viewed as some consolation prize for K-State for losing out on Jake Nawrot, nor should he be really underrated. In my opinion, Cam Cruz is the third or fourth favorite quarterback that I've evaluated during the entirety of this show's runtime, which goes all the way back to 2021. Of course, number one is Avery. Number two was Miles Tedecki. So maybe my evaluation skills are off, but Cam Cruz truly is my third favorite quarterback that K-State has picked up in the last few years, and I could see him developing into a Big 12 starter extremely quickly. Within maybe a redshirt year, a redshirt sophomore year, he will be someone who is pressing for a starting position just because he's so ahead on the mental side of the game. He's also a perfect fit to me in a college-style offense that's going to run a lot of RPOs, that's going to rely on a lot of quick decisions that take advantage of space. Cam Cruz, to me, is the prototypical college quarterback, someone who can take advantage of all the things that make the college game and can extend plays if he has to, but really is just a vehicle for the coach to deliver a solid and exciting offense. So, to me, Cam Cruz is one of the best quarterbacks that K-State has picked up in the past few years, and it is an excellent first pickup for the new old school era in Colin Klein. I'm extremely excited to see what he can do in a Wildcats uniform, and let me know what you guys think of him in the comments below. But thank you all for tuning into this episode of the Alleycat Film Room. I'll see you all in the future.